So write the polar form of conics in rectangular form. So we have an example. So 3.2 divided by 1 minus 0.6 cosine of theta. So the first thing we're going to do is look for the eccentricity and the directrix. So if we look at this, we know that R equals ED divided by, and we've got cosine, so it's 1 minus E cosine theta. This is our equation that we're dealing with. So we know that the eccentricity is going to be 0.6. And if the eccentricity is greater than 0 and less than 1, we know that it will be an ellipse. So we're going to be looking for an ellipse this time. And the directrix, we know that we can work this out. This is 3.2 divided by 0.6. So our directrix is going to be 5.3. It's 5.333, and we'll just leave it at 3. And because it is minus, it's going to be x is equal to minus 5.3. So what do we know about an ellipse? So the rectangular form of an ellipse, we're looking at x minus h squared plus y minus k squared is equal to 1. This is over a squared and b squared. So we need to find all the information. So we're going to draw this to start. So let's sketch this. So we've got the focus at the center. And what do we know? That the directrix is at x is equal to minus 5.3. So we've got a directrix at x is equal to minus 5.3. That's the line. So we're going to be drawing an ellipse which is going to face away from our directrix. So we're not sure where at the moment, but we're estimating that it's going to do something like this. And we need to find these vertices. Now, we don't know any points, so what we can do is look at finding R, which will be this distance here and this distance here. If we're looking at, if this was a polar graph, and we look to see R, and we can find the distance from the center from 0, 0. So to do that, we can substitute in values for theta. So at this point, V, we've got theta is equal to 0. And at this point, V, theta is equal to pi. So if we take our equation, R is 3.2, 1 minus 0.6, and cosine, and if we do 0 first, so cosine is 0. So this is going to be 1 minus 0.6, and cosine is going to be of 0 is just 1. So 1 minus 0.6, so we've got 3.2 divided by 0.4. So R is going to be 8. So this tells us that R is going to be 8, 0, because this is on the polar axis or on our x-axis, so we'll have it at 8, 0. So we know that this will be 8, 0 for the first part, and the second, if we work that out, so we've got R is equal to 3.2, so 3.2 divided by 1 minus 0.6, but this time cosine of pi. So cosine of pi, 3.2, 1 minus 0.6, and cosine of pi is minus 1. So simplifying, so we will have 3.2 divided by 1.6. Oops, 1.6. Because we're going to do one, this is going to be positive. So this will be 2. So we know that this point here, this length, the blue is 2, so this is going to be the coordinates of minus 2, 0. So this other vertex will give us the point of minus 2, 0. So we've got one vertex at 8, 0 and one at minus 2, 0. Now what we need to do is find the midpoint of our ellipse. So to do that, so midpoint of the ellipse. So we can add our x values. So we've got a vertex at 8 and 0, and then we have one at minus 2 and 0. So if we add these together, so 8 plus minus 2 divided by 2, and 0 plus 0 divided by 2, so 6 divided by 2. So we're going to have a midpoint at 3, 0, and this is going to give us our h and k value. So h is 3, k is 0, and what else do we need? So far we need to find our a and our b. So you've got a h, you've got a k, so we need our a and b. So what do we know about a? So if the midpoint, let's go back to our graph here. So if this is the midpoint at 3, 0, so I'm just going to redraw this down here. So we've got our ellipse. So this is at 8, 0, one vertex, and the second vertex is at minus 2, 0. So we have our ellipse. So we've just found that the center here, HK, is at 3, 0. So this is our focus. So we know that the distance from the focus to the midpoint, this is C. So to find C, this is going to be the difference from 3 and 0. So this is going to be 3, so C squared is going to be 9. If we want to find A, this is from the midpoint to the end, so this is going to be the difference. So A, this is going to be the difference between 8 and x value of 3. So A will be 5, so A squared is 25. Now we need to find B. So we know that we can find B by rearranging our equation. So B squared is going to be A squared minus C squared. So we know that A squared is 25 and C squared is 9. So B squared is going to be 16. So we've got all the information that we need. We just need to put it into our equation. So our equation, we have x minus h squared plus y minus k squared is equal to 1. So a squared, we said, so a squared and b squared, and it's on the x-axis, so that's fine. We can keep it like that. So now we need to substitute in our values that we know. So x minus h. So we found our value for h, which is 3. So our h value here is 3. So that's 3 squared, and our y value, so and k. So y and minus 0 squared equals to 1. A we've worked out is 25 and b squared is 16. So this is our answer, but we don't write it with y minus 0. So we're going to just simplify further, and we're going to write it with just y squared. And there's our simplified answer.